Hey guys, I have got something I am super excited to share with you today. I recently passed my Harvard Online Business School Strategy Execution course, and I really want to share with you 3 things that will absolutely change how you think about your game development process. I see nobody on YouTube talking about this stuff. It's absolutely genuinely valuable. Yes, I took this for business, but I did not foresee how useful it would be for game dev. I am excited to share it with you. Stick with me to the end for number 3, because that's the big one. So here's one of the questions that Harvard asks. Why do smart, passionate, skillful people often fail to execute on their best ideas? It's not because they don't have the skill or the time, the expertise or passion. It's because often people can struggle to make tough choices. And this is what Harvard calls the core tension in strategy execution. Way of thinking number 1 is our belief system. The belief system requires to answer a fairly easy question, but I bet most hobby game developers have never asked this of themselves. What kind of game developer are you? When I ask myself this question, I would say I am a hobby game dev and I focus on small, handcrafted, finished games. And with that belief system in place, that helps me guide myself through all decisions in my game making process. And I should stick with that because that's who I am. And looking at my Godot folder, this is what I was missing for so many years. And that's why I was starting to create big games and RPGs that I never finish, because that's just not me. With the belief system, I'm ready to develop more games. And that leads us to our second new way of thinking, which is our boundary system. And for this one, I think it's better to show you rather than tell you. All right, so the boundary system in business is what defines what is absolutely in bounds and what is out of bounds. They're not guidelines. No matter how tempting something is, it's outside of our boundary. And in game dev terms, that could represent our scope. We have small scope, medium scope, and a large scope represented by these bowls. Now in my belief system, I make small, handcrafted, finished games, so we can get rid of these larger bowls and stick to this small scope. And then we have lots of different features and ideas we can put into our game. Let's get rid of some of these because we have a small scope and we don't want to be tempted. Now we can start adding things to our game. How about a nice crafted but complete and small game loop? We'll add some platforming elements into our game. We'll take this really cool player character. It's super important I ask you to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video so far. And we just about have enough room to add some treasure and collectibles for our player. And now our scope is pretty full. Ooh, hang on a minute though. What's this? I've just seen a YouTube video on how to add a crafting system to our RPG. Let's add this into our scope as well, but we're gonna have to force it in. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, stop. This goes outside of the box. Remember our boundary system? We need to be intentional. And the box is already full. We have scoped our game. And if we scoped it at the start intentionally and we stick with it, then that's what we do. This will cause something else to fall out of the scope box. And if we have too many of those, then the game won't ship. So scope isn't the only thing in our boundary system. We're also bound by time, and we're bound by spend. With time, if you imagine you're part of a game jam, you have 48 hours to build a game, and that restriction often leads to innovation, and it also ensures that you complete the game on time. When you're making a game for yourself, you may give yourself a month or 6 months or a year, whatever it might be. Try to stick to it, because once the time starts running away with you and we don't have boundaries, then the game risks never being completed. And the next one is spend. And this can be money when you're buying things like assets or marketing. Set a budget and keep it as non-negotiable. Spend could also mean time, but these things are just the same problems wearing different clothes. We may have some give in a boundary system, but try to ensure that you have some boundaries in your game development journey, and it will help you ship and complete your next game to a better standard. And now we approach the way of thinking number 3. But before we get into that, I just wanted to share with you something, because I think you'll relate to this. During the course, things started to get really busy in my personal life. And just like my Godot graveyard of projects, this course started slipping down my priority list as well. And I realized that I'm probably not going to complete it. I'm not putting enough of myself into the process of completing the course. I pushed on a little bit further, and I got to way of thinking number 3. And that actually changed my way of thinking. And that's why this one became the most valuable, game-changing way of thinking to me personally as well. So I'm really excited to share that with you. But first, before I do, I have to just explain the organizational process model. And then this one will make more sense. So every one of your game dev endeavors and mine goes through what's called a organizational process model. And we have at the top inputs. This is your time, your ideas, your energy, every part of you that you're delivering into your game. And that leads through a process. And this is where you are building, you're in your game engine, you're making those ideas come to life. And then we lead into our output. The output is what our game becomes at the end. It's a product, it's an accumulation of all your fantastic ideas that you're going to deliver into the world. So I wonder, where are you focusing your attention when you're starting your game dev journey? I bet you're taking a lot of time to think here about the output. But the output is just an accumulation of the inputs. So don't consider what your dream game will look like at the end and just try and build that, because that's when you overscope and you lose your beliefs and your boundary. Instead, stick to these systems and start producing the inputs into your process, and the output will be an accumulation of that effort. This happens automatically when you focus on the inputs. And that leads us nicely into number 3. Number 3, the way of thinking is control. And most game developers skip this entirely, in my experience. I know I certainly did. But without the control, and I'll reveal what it means, but without the control, the belief, the boundary, the organizational process model, and everything else falls apart. Now, Harvard actually teaches this as 2 separate levers: an interactive control system and a diagnostic control system. But for the sake of game dev, we can just think of them as one control system together. We need to understand, are you measuring the right things on your game dev journey as you head towards success? The interactive control side is understanding that, is there a market for your game? If you chose one genre of game and it was popular then, is it still popular now, 6 months into your build phase? Ask yourself the question, do I need to adjust or am I still on track? The diagnostic control side is about the world inside your game. Are you still hitting your milestones that you set when you started building the game? Is it still the game you decided you wanted to build at the beginning? Is the scope still where you set it, or is everything slowly creeping away from you? Remember our 3 systems and control it. We must build, monitor, and adjust to make sure that you are staying on the right track. And in practice, this can just be one check-in once a week that asks 3 questions. Am I still on track with time and spend? Am I hitting my milestones? And is the scope still what I expected, or is it getting away from me? And if you ask those 3 questions and just take 2 minutes a week to do so, then you could save your project from being abandoned or adding months onto the delivery time. And I think most developers skip this because it doesn't feel like a creative part of the game dev process. But here's the reframe. The control system isn't the enemy of creativity, it protects it. It ensures that you still have a project 6 months from now that you can be sure gets shipped and is worth creating. Your belief system tells you who you are, your boundary system shapes your project, and then your control ensures that you stay on track. This is 3 new ways of thinking, and when you use these all together, something shifts and it changes the way you make games. Thanks so much for getting this far in the video. If you enjoyed the content and you'd like to see more, then please subscribe and leave a comment. Let me know which one of these systems that you need to work on, and I'll see you on the next one.